with apologies from Councillor Belcher and Councillor Robinson, Councillor Harrison and Councillor Clark as substitute.
Okay. To receive any declaration of interest from members? No? To receive the minutes of the last meeting on the 25th of April, which have previously been circulated. Can I accept those minutes?
Yeah.
Yes. There is nothing under item 4 and 5, and we're straight into 6.1, which is the St. Neigbourhood parking. And Tony, if you can take us through the report.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Purpose of the report is to seek approval for a number of amendments to the parking controls that were recently introduced to the St. Neigbourhood following a public consultation exercise. As members will be aware, the committee, we filed two reports presented to the committee in December 2016 and February 2017 regarding a number of experimental traffic management orders that were introduced in the St. Neigbourhood. As a result of the first consultation event that was held on the 10th of May, it's been proposed to make a number of changes to those orders. The changes are as follows. The St. Park car park station lane, that this parking scheme to be extended from 1 hour to 2 hours. On the front, the on-street disc parking scheme to be extended from 30 minutes to 1 hour. The front and the cliff area, that is the houses side, not the coastal side, where we currently have residential permits stroke pay and display, will become resident permit parking only. We will also amend the area to the obviously the bus stop, which will become additional business permit parking for that particular location as well. We will also amend the pay and display hours of operation from 8 AM to 8 PM to 9 AM to 6 PM in the council car parks and the on-street parking arrangements. These are the proposals that the council are looking to implement, subject to the committee's recommendation, Chair.
Okay. The only bit that you didn't cover, Tony, is that the residents only parking areas will remain 8 till 8. And that's to protect residents' right to be able to park near their home. Okay. Are there any questions on the report? George?
He's on.
Yeah.
There you go now. It's not a question, it's a comment. Is that going now or should it be later?
You may as well say it now.
Yeah. While it's good to see, it seems to be you've obviously listened to a few people about mitigating the risk to penalties to many people. We clearly left out the real people are concerned, and that's the visitors to Hartlepool, at St. Neigbourhood particularly. I've been hearing regularly, frequently from people who are in business that they have lost 25% of their business over this very short period that this has been in. It may be a one-off, I suppose, but at the end of the day, have we looked into this possibility that it is causing difficulty to the businesses? So all I'm saying is I'm finding, while I commend the changes that you've made to mitigate the situation, I don't think it's enough. I think we need to have a lot better look at this and say, well, have a look at ask the people who are running the businesses what's happening to their income, because that's very important. You may be getting more out of it than they are, because they're losing while you're gaining. So that's my...
Right, do you want me to respond now, John?
Well, I'd like to respond from the council, really.
Well, can I just say that when you say you are getting more out of this than they are,
Meaning
you
the council.
means the council.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, which means you. And this committee made the decision, which also includes you. But what I would also say is that I would take the 25% reduction that you referred to with a little bit of caution, because until we get to the end of the summer term, no one is really going to know what that effect is. And they would then need to be able to corroborate that loss, if there is such a thing, with their actual outcomes financially. So at the moment, it's a figure that's been plucked out of thin air. I'm sorry, but it is a figure that's been plucked out of thin air, and it may be based on fact or it may not. But we need to get to the end of the term, which is the end of the summer season, which is the end of October, before we can actually make that position clear. which is why there will be a full review of the parking arrangements at Seaton following the current experimental period, which is up to the 31st of October. Can I also say that if we had waited for the new committee to start their arrangements, then that wouldn't happen until the middle of June, which means by the time the actual changes take place and new signage is put up, then we would already be into July, which is why this meeting is taking place today, so that we can remove another month of issue, and all of the pieces that are here in the proposal are what came out of the conversations that took place in Seaton on the 10th. So we are trying to respond to the needs that have been expressed. And to be fair, people visiting the Seaton Crew from outside of Hartlepool, I haven't yet had correspondence in any number from people who are visitors to Seaton Crew, but I was actually in Seaton Crew yesterday. All of the cars were paying display, they were all displaying their permit or their tickets, and I did not hear anyone say that they were getting charges in the car park. The car park charges are necessary if the council is going to maintain car parks in Seaton Crew, which also need to be maintained, and in my view possibly also still need to be expanded somewhat. So there is a need to be able to have income from car parks. What we've tried to mitigate is the issues on the street, and to be fair, even in the changes that we've previously made, the on-street free car parking was 20 minutes, it was extended to 30 as part of the original arrangement, and we've listened to what businesses have said that require it, and we've extended that further to an hour. Now, that should assist those businesses, George. So that is the intention, right? I mean, to be fair, you know, an hour is, in my view, quite adequate for people to go about their daily business of shopping or moving around in Seaton Crew, and that is free. And it will be free as soon as the signage can be changed. So I'm not quite sure what else we can do, George.
Can I respond?
Ross?
People go to Seaton Carew, they call it Sunny Seaton. It doesn't live up to its name very much, but they come to Seaton. It's a bit like the Brighton is to London. People come to Sunny Seaton from quite a few areas around here because they like the area and they want to stay for a whole day.
Yeah.
That's where the people are finding it. They say, oh, I can only pop in there and get an ice cream or a bit of food to eat or something, and then I'm going because I can't afford the charges all day. So, what was...
George, it's £2 for all day parking.
Is it?
No.
Oh, I didn't know that, sorry.
Yeah.
I
Well, there you
apologise.
go. It's £1 for up to 2 hours. So you didn't read the report then that we agreed previously. In the report, it quite clearly said that the parking charges in the car park were £1 for up to 2 hours, £1.50 for up to 4 hours, and £2 for all day parking. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Brenda. You're the Brenda, I've got two Brendas.
Thank you. I think when anywhere that's been free to just go and park wherever you want, whenever you want, and then suddenly have some charges, there's going to be some feeling of worry and concern and a few problems. But if you do look at the parking charges, you can have £2 for, you can have 2 hours for £1. You can have a whole day for £2, which I don't think is, you know, a great sum. The concern I had, which has been addressed in this, I have to say, was for the evening. Because I think it's, you know, if somebody wants to go and walk their dog along the front or just have a walk along the front in the evening, which a lot of people do in Seaton, I think it would be just asking a bit much to charge for that. So I'm really glad to see that the cut-off has been taken back to 6 o'clock, because I think that's fair and reasonable. So I really appreciate the changes that have been made, and I think that with continued consultation, at the end of that consultation, hopefully, you know, we can make most people happy.
Brenda, did you also indicate?
It's complicated, isn't it? It's confusing. It's not staying, is it? Oh, yes, it's fine. Right, the last meeting when it was all agreed, I had to leave the meeting before I reported, and I must admit I was like that. As Brenda said, the parking charges aren't extortionate. I've been to another seaside town, which I won't mention, it was £4 for 2 hours. So I think we're quite reasonable at that. What other consultation is going to take place?
There will be further 2 consultations, dates still to be arranged, but there will be 2 further consultation events in Neigbourhood prior to the October finish of the experimental.
Okay, thank you.
I'll go back to Alan and I'll finish you off. Alan?
Thanks, Chair. Obviously, I'm not a member of this committee, but I do have friends who regularly use the bowling greens at Neigbourhood, and a number of them actually expressed concerns with me that they were concerned when they would be bowling in Seaton that they would end up with a ticket on their car and £30 or £35 fine or £70 fine, whatever it is. So I welcome the fact that they have been listened to and it's been increased from 1 hour to 2 hours. But I would really like to reiterate what Councillor Loynes has said, and can we guarantee that we will continue to listen to the people going forwards?
Well, there will be a full review from the next 2 consultations, and that will be in the hands of another to deal with, and the review will take place following the end of October. Okay? But to be fair, just to comment on the bowling issue, where bowlers want to use the small car park at the bottom of Seaton Lane, then the position is that because it's now 2 hours free, or it will be 2 hours free, some of the signs can be changed, right? Then that means that if they were to park there from 4 o'clock onwards, they would have their 2 hours free, and then they would not be charged either. So we've met them at least halfway. If they're bowling late in the morning or very early in the afternoon, then they will still need to pay a small amount, but probably within the £1 would be more than adequate. And obviously that can be picked up later. The problem is that you can't just have a free car park at the bottom of the Seaton Lane, Station Lane, because obviously that would then mean it would be full, which wouldn't assist people like the small hairdressers at the bottom of the Station Lane, because that car park would just be completely abused, and it would be parked probably all day, every day, so her clients would still not be able to park in a reasonable situ for her business, and neither would the bowlers. So to put some limitation on that car park is of assistance to both groups, and said when they have visitors coming for bowling events, what was explained to me at the event on the 10th at Seaton was that mostly they're late afternoon, early evening, so their visitors would also be able to park. Okay?
Thank you.
Paul?
Are you allowing comments from the gallery?
Pardon?
Are you allowing comments and questions from the gallery?
Well, I'm quite happy to take comments from the
Perfect.
gallery, but I'm trying to deal with members.
Okay, fine.
Okay?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I too welcome the fact that we have seen some alterations, and obviously those alterations are in favour of people who visit Neigbourhood and people who actually live in Neigbourhood. When you look at what happens within what is now a really upmarket area of Hartlepool, when we see what happens, young families go in and spend an absolute fortune in the amusements, and I think that will continue. I don't think that £2 all day is an exorbitant amount. I think most people can afford that. I too welcome what Brenda said there, and we would like to see consultation going forward, but I think the way the council has handled this, I think, is, well, it's a credit really to this council. We have listened to residents, we have listened to businesses, and I think the way forward that we've got planned is the right way to go about it. I fully support what's happened.
Okay. So I've got a gentleman there at the back. Do you want to come forward to the table so that everyone can hear you and you can actually use the microphone? Yeah. You need to press where it says MIC for mine until it goes green. Yeah? See it? There it is. Okay?
Good morning. My name is John Parker. I'm Secretary of the City Neigbourhood. I'd like to thank, I'd like to say to the council that we've taken into consideration some of the faults that we've complained about. And why, well, on a night time, the 9 to 6 parking in Seaton car park will be added for the evening bonus. We still have a problem with the afternoon bonus. One of the things that was brought up at the consultation meeting was if we could get so many parking tickets or discs in a different colour, just maybe 12, that could be left in the Seaton Bowling Club to be handed out, just for bowlers only, and then handed back into the club, so that the next team that play on an afternoon could be handed out to them.
Can I say, from a personal point of view, I think it's a reasonable suggestion that you're making. Whether it's workable or not, I'm not sure,
Yeah. But
we will consider that.
that was one suggestion that
Okay.
we brought up. But we've done it Thursday, Friday, which is a Veterans League, and veterans are 60 onwards,
Okay.
and also Saturday afternoon.
So I said it can be considered.
They're the things that you could be considered.
Okay.
Thank you very
No,
much.
thank you. Paul?
The first thing I'd say, Councillor James, is on behalf of the people who attended the consultation, thank you for attending yourself. I think you made it really useful to listen to first-hand experiences of people, and I know certainly having you in attendance that day was appreciated by people who attended, particularly the local ward council, so thank you for that. Secondly, the proposals which you've acted upon that evening, I think it was, or the very next morning, and the suggestions that you put forward do go a long way to appeasing a lot of the people in Seaton, and again, that is much appreciated. One of the things, though, that still concerns me is the impact that it's already had on Seaton. I think Councillor Spring has just referred to some of the loss of business and how you can quantify that. I know there is people in the room that are active on social media, and I've seen on Sunday the provider of Gladys Tea Room sending photos out about how busy or not so busy their tea room was on Sunday. If anybody's ever dined in there, you will know that any day of the week it's busy in there, it's difficult to get a table, yet it would appear on Sunday that it wasn't. Ever since the charges being discussed and the confusion that arose early on, it is visible that it's had an impact on Seaton. You drive past Neigbourhood Bridge car park, which was always very, very busy car park, people parking on the grass and beyond. That's not happening. Most Sundays now, in the last 3 Sundays, there has been at most 6 to 8 cars in there. Now, that is the impact of car parking charges. You know, as I said earlier on, Seaton only needs the slightest bit of sun. In fact, as long as it's not raining, Seaton's busy. And that's something that hasn't been happening for the last couple of weekends. There's a lot of frustration in Seaton around that, and I think Councillor Hunter may want to speak first hand about some of the frustration, because I know he's had it in the neck off a couple of businesses as well, and that frustration is going to continue until the final outcome of this and the longevity of this is agreed. But I think what we've got so far, Councillor James, is some movement, and certainly the residents who have had the difficulties around the permit zones, the borders and the green, and the small businesses which are adjacent to the green, including the doctors, will benefit from the change of arrangements to the car park, to the station lane car park. But I think we've still got a long way to go.
Anyone else? Dave? I like that on the
Yeah, as Paul said, I've had a lot of approaches from people, and I do live in Seaton. I found the post on Sunday that Paul referred to be of some concern, because at 12 o'clock lunchtime I was actually in Seaton with my partner, and we come from the Dome side, and we had to drive as far along as the Norton Hotel before we could actually park up. But then, I was on the front, I saw the queue outside the Almighty Court and some of the other shops, and I looked in Gladys, and she was quite busy, not full, but quite busy, it was just midday. Anyway, we left Seaton, and I saw that post appear later in the day. So at 3:30, I went back along Seaton front, I checked the overflow car park, and we estimated at about 60% full. Main car park was chocker, and the same situation with the freeways all the way along the front, you just couldn't get parked. So I'm kind of in a bit of a crossroads with it, because I can see it's busy, but I do have a lot of sympathy with the businesses. And this was never put in to be perceived as a punishment for business. I think the moves that Councillor James has done as chair and the work of the officers of the consultation shows that we are listening, shows there will be flexibility, and long may that flexibility continue. And certainly for my own part, I've already mentioned to a few of the businesses that I intend to meet them separately. And I've invited yourself and Councillor Black to that as well. Thank you.
Jennifer, can I ask a question?
Oh, sorry.
Just one very quick. Do you mind if I don't? I can't admit it. Can I just ask in terms of the timescales then? Because obviously we shared the letter that you asked us to share, and there was some misunderstanding of some of the businesses who thought that was with immediate effect. And
No,
I'm aware of that, that inadvertently told people that it was immediate effect, and there was some confusion around it. What is the timescales for this? Is there a legal process that needs to go through, or is it a case of just changing stickers on posts and informing staff? Sorry, the window.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. There's a legal process we need to go through, and then we need to get the signs to replace the signs. So we hope that we'll have it all completed within 2 to 3 weeks max, subject to obviously how quickly we can get the signs. But then there is a legal process as well that will be alongside that.
And I assume the press release is planned to now.
Yeah, Steve is here from our press team, so yeah, we'll get something like that.
Mr. Gooderham?
Good morning. Couple of things. First of all, I would echo Paul and people's comments about thanking the committee for listening to the residents and making the changes. I would like to raise the point Councillor James raised. First of all, Councillor James, if I'd seen you in the seat yesterday, I would have bought you an ice cream, which I'm going to go down there. But I actually went and talked to the owner of Gladys, Young's, the Almighty Cod, and Gelato, amongst others. And they all, without exception, without any discussion between them, reported that they're taking put down between 25 and 30% since the parking charges were introduced. One of the shopkeepers told me that he's actually had to reduce staff hours because of the loss of business that they've had. So I'd just like that placed on record. I'm hoping that we'll be getting some interviews with them up on YouTube over the next 48 hours where you can actually see and listen to what they have to say about that. Secondly, if, as we expect, that this change in the hours will help the businesses and increase or bring their business back to something like an acceptable level. Would it be reasonable to ask the committee to apologise to the businesses for introducing a plan that really wasn't consulted and that has led to such a significant loss of revenue? I'm not looking for an answer, I'm just throwing it out there, because I think it will be a gesture that will help heal some of the risks that currently exist between the business owners and this committee. And finally, I would like to ask the committee to consider, in their changing of the conditions, making Sunday free parking. Sunday's a major day for the venues, and I think again it would be a generous offer from the committee, much appreciated by the business owners, if the committee was prepared to make Sunday free parking. I think we've got it elsewhere. I don't think it would be a bad idea to do it this evening. So that's it. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Okay. Right, so Brenda?
Something a little bit different. It came to my attention last night that there's not many disabled spaces. Is that right? I haven't had time because it was late last night when I got in, and early this morning out. So how many car spaces for disabled are there on the
Cover that back, possibly. But
and it seems as though they're like the farthest
Yeah.
away. That's what I've been told.
If you have a disabled badge, you can park in a normal bay. So there's a number of designated disabled bays which you park in with the badge, and that's free all day. If you wish to park in one of, if there are no disabled bays left, you can park in the normal bay for up to 3 hours free with your badge.
Okay.
So it offsets that. Appreciate it's not all day, but it does obviously give that flexibility. I think it links into the other things Marjorie mentioned earlier, where we are looking to change the car park itself, potentially what we'd like to do, and that's what we will obviously support as part of the regeneration proposals that we're looking at.
okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Right, so unless there are any further comments, can we move to the recommendations which you've heard, and to ask the committee if they endorse those recommendations?
Yes.
Can I have a show of hands, please? Okay. So with the exception of Councillor Springer, was that an abstention or a vote against, Joe?
Abstention.
Okay. Right, that's the only item of business that we have, so can I thank you for your attendance?